So I do not know what's going on in the ATP. I just don't have the bandwidth. So, wishing them luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Body Serve. I'm Jonathan.
I'm James.
This is episode 416. This is in the six. We're in the six with this episode.
This is the Toronto episode. We don't have any Toronto-related content.
I think we're going to just try and learn different area codes with every episode going forward now.
Okay.
I look forward to find out where in the world is the 417 area code.
We know that 415 is Bay Area, somebody told us. The title of this episode is Triple Double because...
You're a basketball fan.
Three entities achieved the Sunshine Double. 3 times 2 is 6. 416, we're in the 6. Eerie, right?
Oh, wow.
Weird.
Wow. I hope you never go down a rabbit hole of conspiracies. You've just shown yourself to be very vulnerable. Aryna Sabalenka doubled in the desert and Miami. Jannik Sinner did the same. And then we had Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova do the same in women's doubles.
Townsend is on a 14-match win streak in doubles. She had won Austin with Storm Hunter. She and Siniakova beat the number 1 seeds Aryna and Paolini at both Indian Wells and Miami. Just an incredible stretch here. Siniakova now has an absurd 35 doubles titles.
And still, who is your world number 1 in doubles?
Elisa Mertens.
Correct. It's Mertens followed by Siniakova, Paolini, Aryna. The Italian duo are tied with the number 3 ranking. You know, they play exclusively together, so they have the same number of points. Mm-hmm. Taylor Townsend is the 5th ranked doubles player in the world, followed by Dabrowski at number 6. All of the top 5, except for Paolini, have been ranked number 1 at some point. Paolini is currently at her career high of number 3.
All right. Jannik Sinner is the first person of any gender to win the Sunshine Double without losing a set. He beat the Czech man Jiří Lehečka 6-4, 6-4 in the final. The second straight Czech man in the Miami final. A different one last year. Of course, Menchik won.
Only to lose in the first round this go-around.
Yeah, defending champs were not doing so great at the Sunshine Swing.
We're seesawing on the men's tour right now. Carlos started the year on a tear. The narrative shifted from, wow, we have this duopoly, to, wow, Carlos has really grabbed this thing by the neck and is just speeding away at the top of the men's game. Carlos has a couple of flops. Jannik is back. And now the narrative is, wow, this guy, the absolute best player in the world, bar none. It's like we all have short memories.
Yeah, Jannik, he wasn't going to stay down for long, and he was not really even down. It's just that Carlos opened the season with this win streak. Jannik and Carlos have both improved their serve pretty dramatically. Jannik's serve was impenetrable for the most part at this tournament. He was broken once all tournament, and that was by Mikkelsen. Between all of Jannik's opponents, Jumor, Mute, Mikkelsen, Tiafoe, that guy, and Lehečka, he faced only 9 break points and lost only 1. In the final, he found himself at one point down love 40, and then just serves 5 straight unreturnable balls, 2 of them aces.
He also keeps appearing to cramp, and then it keeps not being an issue.
Yeah, I keep hearing this, and I keep seeing people write about this, that he appeared to cramp at a certain point, more so in Indian Wells. So he may still struggle with the heat occasionally, but he wasn't really on court long enough in these matches for that to become an issue.
Well, we saw this at the Australian Open. Mm-hmm. And then the wet bulb global index heat rule roof thing happened. And
yeah, the courts here were fast. And the New York Times actually just wrote recently that Roger Federer has been spreading this fake news, this conspiracy theory, that the courts are being slowed down. It's not true, in fact. And it hasn't been true since, 2012.
Oh, I saw a lot of folks enjoying Miami, more so than Indian Wells. Maybe this was anecdotal, maybe this is just the folks that I follow on my timelines, but people seem to find it a more lively event, that the crowds were more engaged.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. I'd say the median age is lower. It's a very diverse crowd, and they certainly get up for any Latin American or Spanish player in a way that I don't think you see in Indian Wells. It is also Miami, unfortunately. Fortunately for some people, not for me. It's not somewhere I would voluntarily go back to, the city or the tournament.
Wow.
Sorry, Miami natives. I don't want to be partying with the Miami Magas.
Wow.
The stadium is an abomination. We know that. I don't want to belabor that point.
Okay. The grounds were fine.
Yes, that's true.
The grounds were fine.
It was
just the parking and the main stadium.
Actually, I liked the tournament grounds. They were compact enough that you could get around. There were tons of places to eat and drink, and it did not feel overly crowded. I'll give it that.
Yeah, there's some positives there.
There are.
My God. And it's close enough to Fort Lauderdale.
Yes,
and Wilton Manors.
Mm-hmm.
This was a big result and a huge leap for Lehechka. He'd made 6 finals before in the ATP Tour, but never as big as a Masters 1000. And on top of that, nothing in his most recent results portended this. This kind of came out of the blue. Of course, he is talented. We know that. He just was not in any kind of form that would suggest this. He had a first-round loss at the Australian Open, as well as Indian Wells. At this tournament, he beat Taylor Fritz in the 4th round, and then went on to beat Martin Landaluce in the quarterfinals. Landaluce, also somebody whose recent string of results didn't really give this in the horizon.
Yeah, it's a pretty huge breakout for the 20-year-old. He beat 3 seeds, Dardari, Khachanov, and Korda. And you might know the name because he qualified for last year's Next Gen Finals. He played and he lost his 3 round robin matches, but this is a pretty massive breakthrough. And Lehechka, like you said, is a very talented guy, has been around the top 20 for a while now. The draw did him some favors. Landaluce in the quarters, Taylor Fritz, who has been honest about playing with constant injuries, but still an excellent result.
Landaluce this entire year has been struggling to get out of qualifying, struggling to go deep in challengers. So this was truly a hatching moment for him.
Like you said, after Qatar, it was all Alcaraz is unbeatable, Sinner is down bad, and it just goes to show these micro narratives are not that interesting. We should learn at this point. And I also think it throws into stark relief how insane that 2011 Djokovic season was. Opening the season with 41 straight matches. Carlos was just in double digits and people were like, oh my God, he's untouchable. Forget it. 41. He did not lose until Roland Garros. And now we're going back to clay, where Alcaraz is favored. Sinner has never won a Masters event on clay, but he was a point away 3 separate times from winning Roland Garros last year.
Yeah, he had such a huge opportunity to win that French Open, a tournament he probably should have won. And to say that, well, he hasn't won a Masters 1000, so Carlos is the favorite on this surface. I don't know that any of those things apply with these two men anymore. I don't think surface matters. Mm-hmm. I don't think conditions necessarily matter. I think the only thing that matters is what they bring to the court against each other on that particular day, what they've been working on in practice, what's new that they want to implement, what can they change from what they did before to give their opponent a different look. They're just playing a totally different game than the rest of the field, save for the, couple losses that Carlos just had. Mm-hmm. Which he is more prone to have those than Jannik.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Aryna Sabalenka is the first person to win the Sunshine Double in both singles and doubles. Like Jannik, she's made history with this double. Her first Sunshine Double was in 2019 with Mertens.
Do you know who are the other women who have won the Sunshine Double?
In singles?
Yes.
Most of them, I think. Graf, Hingis, Kleisters, Azarenka.
No Hingis.
Oh, no Hingis?
No.
Well, I know the other ones are right. Graf, Kleisters, Azarenka, Davenport?
The other women to have done it, Iga Swiatek in 2022.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Azarenka in 2016. Kleisters in 2005. And Graf did it twice in 94 and 96.
Okay. Serena has never done it, and we know why. And that's a big asterisk in tennis history.
Sabalenka beat Gauff in the final to improve her head-to-head against Coco to 7-6. The story here with Sabalenka is she is overall the best player in women's tennis. That's borne out by the consistency. It's borne out by winning just enough of the big events against everybody else to cement that. She's not impregnable.
Why do I feel like there's a but coming?
She's not impregnable.
Correct.
Is what I'm saying.
She lost the Australian Open final to Rybakina. Lost the WTA Finals to Rybakina.
But then she comes back to beat Rybakina in back-to-back tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
In the Indian Wells final, and then here again in the semi-final. She beat Coco Gauff in a final in a scenario which looked very similar to other matches that she's lost against Coco in big finals.
Yeah.
So she's continuing to improve. For me, it's just that the gap is not as big as it is with Jannik and Carlos against the rest.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
not
of
even
course.
close.
Right. I don't think anyone's trying to argue that. Like, you referenced the final. Coco tried to do what she's done before against Sabalenka. She goes down the first set, and then the mission at that point is to hold on desperately to your serve. Keep the score tight in this second set. Get in Aryna's head, because we've seen it happen before. We've seen her crash out against Coco. Force a third set. And then in the third set, like, it's on, right? It's anyone's game. In the second set, Coco was more solid on her serve. She was winning half of her second serve points, getting 82% of her first serves in, which was a big improvement. And she gutted out some long deuce games, very stressful games on her serve. But she only faced 2 breakpoints in those games.
Let me tell you, Sabalenka's team had the helicopter on the ready if she lost this match. They were out the door to leave her at that podium if she lost this match.
Really impressively, though, Aryna comes out in the third set, breaks immediately, and then rode that break for the rest of the match to win. Served a few, love games, and it was just a really impressive third set from her, which pained me, which bothered me, but I have to give that credit, because she's certainly done some mental work, I think. She's talked about this, the way that she approaches finals, and she knows that her head helped her lose some of those finals. She also speaks about Coco Gauff's game with more respect than she used to. She learned her lesson on that, I think. Surprisingly, Coco's backhand was the least reliable stroke on the court. Not her forehand. 16 errors on the backhand side versus 11 on forehand.
Sabalenka was also very impressive in that semifinal against Rybakina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty one-way match, I felt. She now leads Rybakina 10-7. Broke her 4 times, despite being broken twice herself.
Despite Rybakina being the greatest server
if you listen to the commentators in history
of this decade.
In history. It was odd to see them meet in a semi because, of course, they met in the Indian Wells final, the Australian Open final, and it felt like a number 1 and 2 matchup. And it is now. But Coco has kept herself in striking distance, back to number 3. She had dropped down to number 4. She gained a lot of points by reaching the final here in Miami.
Well, she's going to need them because she's got 2,000 to defend at the French Open.
Yeah, and she's got a lot of points on clay.
Sabalenka is now tied with Iga Swiatek for the most 1,000 titles since Serena. They both have 11. Serena had 13. Of course, this is a weird little stat because this metric didn't really begin until 2009. That was already more than 10 years into Serena's career.
Yes. I just wanted to talk about this because we keep seeing the stats since 2009. And some people are saying, what does that mean? Like, why does it only go back there? In 2009, the WTA introduced the Premier format, which for a long time was Premier Mandatory plus Premier 5. The Premier 5 were the most prestigious. Since that time, Serena won 13 of those Premier, all but one of those in her 30s, by the way. In 2021, they all merged into the WTA Premier tournaments, and then 2 years ago, WTA introduced the 1000 format. So it's changed quite a lot. And then going all the way back to 1990, there were Tier 1s. But the reason you don't see these stats, you don't see Celis and Graf in these stats, is because it's not really a clean trade. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to compare the Tier 1s. The draw sizes varied. The schedule bounced around quite a bit. And in 1990 to 1992, there were only 6 of them. So it's just not a great comparison.
You have here on the agenda a little bit where you're going to dunk on Jessie Pegula.
Not a dunk.
It looks pretty bad to me.
I was doing an SAT thing here, and it's not totally analogous, right? So Jess is to Rybakina as Muhova is to Gauff, but not really, right? Coco Gauff owns a 6-0 record against Muhova. Rybakina has owned Jess mainly like in wins, but Jess does actually win sets.
It's a 6-3 head-to-head in favor of Rybakina. That's not crazy.
It's not, but recently, most of the wins were at the beginning of the rivalry for Jess.
Wow. I think what's making this more prominent for you is the fact that since Australia, Pegula has only lost to Rybakina.
Yes, I was winding into a compliment. You kind of stopped me.
Okay.
So go on.
That's it. I led you to it. Now go.
Yes, she's had the misfortune of playing Elena Rybakina 3 times already in the semis of Australia, quarterfinals of both Indian Wells and Miami, and Jessie won Dubai in the middle of those. It's a great season for her on these hard courts. And now she's the number 1 seed in Charleston and cannot face Rybakina because Rybakina is not there.
Despite losing the final, this tournament was a big success for Coco Gauff. It marked the first time that she had advanced to at least the quarterfinals in Miami, and she now has the quarterfinal set at these Masters 1000s. This, of course, is her home tournament that she's never played well at, to be frank, and she fought her way through it. You have here that you really liked her match against Bencic.
I did, because Miss Gauff got dusted in the second set. We saw Belinda do what she does best. It's like video game tennis. And Coco never gets scared, right? She's always willing to think through matches and fight. And her impeccable defense eventually wore Belinda down. And I don't think Belinda was feeling that well also. But the defense has to be so demoralizing as an opponent.
Coco's success on the court led to more press engagement.
Yeah. I was looking forward to talking about this.
I don't know if you all have seen this. I don't know how engaged you all are on social media vis-a-vis tennis, but this really pissed me off. I mean, so bad. I was so mad when this video came out. She's in the press conference and she's asked a question by a reporter whom we later learn is Matt Futterman from
The Athletic.
He says, quote, "I saw you on Tennis Channel saying you didn't like your look in the hat. I'm kind of with you on that. Looks a little weird." What?
What the fuck? That was my reaction, was like, dude, what the fuck?
When he says, "I'm kind of with you on that," Coco starts giggling. Mm-hmm. A self-defense mechanism, I'm sure, because what the actual fuck is happening right here in this press conference?
To take the encouragement of this giggle to go on further and say, looks a little weird. Oh, what? Okay.
If you wanted to approach this topic, first of all, you have to have some kind of understanding of black women and their hair. and why Coco, who always has her hair out and has varying styles, might be wearing a cap this week. Right. Every single day. Every single day she's wearing a cap. Why would she be doing that?
Let's put our thinking caps on. Get it? A cap.
Congrats. That was good.
No, it wasn't.
However, you could have been less offensive while still being curious. If in fact you were curious.
But you know what?
You shouldn't be doing it.
You're a white man. You're a white reporter. Why are you asking about the hat? Like, do you have better things to ask about? I know. I would never ask a black woman about her hair, especially in public.
Right, but he clearly doesn't know it's about her hair. I would assume. Oh. And so if you are going to go this route, you simply say, you said on so-and-so tennis channel that you really don't like this look. How come you're wearing this look this week? What's the inspiration behind it? Make yourself look like an idiot, but ask it in a proper journalistic fucking way.
Right, why are you saying you don't like it?
Exactly. Nobody cares about what you like.
Because you're referencing this kiki that Chris Eubanks and Coco had on Tennis Channel about the hat. They are close friends outside of work, right? This is not for you.
Also both black.
Oh, indeed. Following up, Ben Rothenberg starts his question with, Coco, I think you look nice with whatever you're wearing. And now we get a roar. It's not a giggle. Coco cracks up.
She says, quote, I didn't think I looked that bad. It's sideways because I have big hair, so it's not always slicking back. And then Tamani Carriel on another question follows up by saying, hey, Coco, firstly, I agree with Ben. Whack him again.
Whack him again.
I wonder if he had the understanding in that moment that he was even being whacked.
Well, no, because there was more back and forth, again, including him, that was like, oh, yeah, you mentioned that, you know, you didn't wash her hair or whatever. It's like, again, why are you talking about her hair? Why are we having this conversation? It's so weird.
Oh, the clip didn't extend that long for me. I didn't see that part.
It was subtitled. I noticed Anastasia from Grounds Pass podcast tweeted that, or posted that people were asking her, hey, can you ask Coco about the hat? And she said, okay, as a black woman, I know why she'd be wearing a hat. I'm not asking that question. Like, okay, case closed.
Looks a little weird. Like, it's taking every ounce of energy not to say something really bad about this man.
Oh, okay. It's, you know what, like, when somebody thinks they're being cutesy with you, thinks you're having a key, like, you know each other that way, but you really, really don't. Like, it's not cute at all.
Like, the audacity and the gall to be that casual with it to this young black woman in press, in an official work setting, crazy work. If this were below deck med, Captain Jason would be giving him the disco ball hat for the entire season.
Speaking of the audacity, Coco Gauff replied on one of these Instagram posts with the audacity. Now, when have you ever seen Dad Corey get involved in anything?
Are you sure this isn't the title of the episode? The audacity?
God, we must have titled an episode that before.
I don't think so.
The audacity of dope. Another pun. I need to stop.
I can't recall Coco Gauff doing anything like this in the past.
No. Okay, speaking of dopes, I need to whack Aryna again. I complimented her a lot this episode, but she posed for a picture with Kai Trump, whoever that is, one of the Trump grandchildren apparently, and then posted it, and then unposted it.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe her agency contacted her. You know, the one that disenfranchised Naomi Osaka?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really not surprising to see a Trump granddaughter supporting Sabalenka instead of her fellow American, Coco Gauff, who was going to be playing her in the final. That's par for the course for those inbred-looking family.
Well, those fuckers would not get a photo opportunity with Coco Gauff. They wouldn't.
Well, no.
So if you're clout chasing at the Miami Open, you only have one avenue to get it.
Yeah, and see, this is another well, you know what? This is tennis in general.
Like, was Ben Shelton around that weekend, or had he already moved on?
We saw the Kushners. It was last year, right? Or the year before, Grigor, took a picture with the Kushners.
Mm-hmm. It was at Miami, too.
Of course, yes. And so I'm sure all the South Florida MAGAs are very happy for Sabalenka's win. I'm sure they're very happy.
Aryna Sabalenka is a much more complete tennis player than Jelena Rybakina, in my opinion.
Well, yes.
At this point.
Yes, I agree.
And so I'll say that nicely about her, to then say, but also, don't pretend like there aren't myriad reasons why people wouldn't like this woman.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. And I'm tired of people making excuses. If you listen to this show, you know we don't give a flying fuck about keep politics out of sport. Like, no, that's the whole purpose of the show. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to fly with us. This is hits upon hits upon hits with Sabalenka.
She's a starfucker.
A dizzy starfucker.
Not dizzy. Damn. I don't like what she said about Naomi going back to IMG.
Yeah,
I don't like that. And I know that's her sour grapes at IMG because she felt like they represented her poorly, but keep Naomi out of this because you know exactly what happened at the agency that she co-founded but has no stake in financially. How did that happen?
I mean, you give her credit for knowing anything or being curious about anything.
Well, as opposed to just, is no excuse.
It's not. I'm also going to say that I do not like the way she so casually and effortlessly talks badly about the two most prominent black women on tour. So that is something that pings to me. If you take offense to that, think about why it does not ping for you.
Okay. Arthur Fils has broken containment. A lot to do with his huge semifinal result here.
I thought you were going to talk about his huge derriere.
Right, but more to do with his looks. I have seen photos and videos of Arthur's backside everywhere, outside of the tennis ecosystem.
The thirst is real. Like, people are dying of dehydration.
People are dying, Kim.
In these tennis streets.
I believe he was on both of our lists of hottest ATP players, right? I mean, Arthur Ashe is undeniably one of the most handsome men on tour. In my opinion, the most, but I realize that's subjective. But just damn good looking.
And the big moment for him at this tournament was when he beat Tommy Paul. I almost said Tommy Haas.
Tommy Haas. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
He was down big in that third set tiebreak against Tommy Paul. And boy, Tommy did not know what hit him as he...
Wow.
as Fils reeled off a string of crazy points to win that match.
Saved 4 straight match points. And I went back and watched those 4 match points several times, and I'm trying to write down what happened, right? Could Tommy have won any of those points? Of course he could have, but there was some really special stuff from Fils as well. First, he digs out this backhand cross court, forcing an error from Tommy. That was the first one. He hits a forehand winner, passing Paul at the net. Then Tommy hits a forehand long, and finally Fils hits an unreturned serve, and we are back in it. I mean, you were about to leave the room, you were like, this is clearly not happening, and I don't want to see Tommy win. Look what happened.
Especially not wearing that outfit.
The
camo.
The camo hat and the camo shoes. I mean, that's just, that's his style.
Can we talk about this? Why is Bass Pro Shops a hip aesthetic? In Canada. I don't know about the US. In Canada, yes.
Oh, I thought it was like a really American thing.
No, I know a lot of young people who wear it for style, for fashion.
Really?
In Canada.
You know, at Vaughan Mills, they have that massive Bass Pro Shops. Mm-hmm. So much so that they have an exit off the 400 called Bass Pro Mills Drive.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what
that was for. Do they still have that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's...
Listen, you should have seen me almost drop dead at work when my manager walked in on his day off with a Bass Pro Shop hat.
There's nothing new under the sun, though, because remember in, 2005 or 2006, people wore those Von Dutch trucker hats. Those are huge.
Right, but for me, that gives a very specific, conservative, American aesthetic.
The Bass Pro.
Yes. And so to see it in Canada, presumably giving something else, or people just being blithely unaware to what it gives elsewhere, it's wild to me. But
Yeah.
it is a thing. People wear it all the time here in Canada.
I don't know that it signifies the same thing to people in Canada.
No, I'm saying it definitely does.
Yeah,
I acknowledge that it doesn't. Fils goes on to lose to Lehechka in the semifinals 6-2, 6-2, completely out of gas at that point. Prior to his loss to Lehechka, Fils had only lost to top 10 players since his return from injury in February, those players being Duminar, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Carlos Alcaraz, and that guy.
He's still working with Goran Ivanisevic on a trial basis. I don't believe Goran was there in Miami. He was recently in the news, you may have seen, talking shit about his former pupil, Stefanos Tsitsipas.
They were together for what, 5 hours? And he still has so much to say about Tsitsipas.
Saying that it was clear from the second day they worked together that it wasn't going to work, and that Stefanos had some big physical but more so mental problems to deal with. And at this point, I would caution any player from working with Ivanisevic if I were advising these players, and at least force him to sign an NDA, because, you know, this just shows a real huge lack of integrity. Talking about your past relationships, why would a player voluntarily work with you after you sort of bring your mess all over the place? And yes, you go into these situations that are already messy, but then to talk about people, it's not cool.
Yeah.
You don't have to add anything.
I mean, I find it entertaining nonetheless.
Sure.
Notwithstanding. Charleston is happening. Sadly, we are not there. I am dreaming of the food.
Yeah. We will someday be back in Charleston, but the U.S. trips are just not really in the cards for us right now. Save possibly a trip to the U.S. Open. I feel like New York City is a different planet.
Well, we don't even know at this point.
That's true.
I'm booking, if and when I do book that trip, it'll be cancelable.
Oh, yeah. Always. I will pay more to have things be refundable, always. Charleston draw, it's cool to be off hard court. I'm glad we're transitioning to clay. Green clay in Charleston. The Houston Clay Court Championships are going on the men's side. The Charleston draw is not, I feel like it's not as great as it usually is.
Only has one top 10 player now that Anisimova has withdrawn, and that's Jessie Pegula. So this tournament's hers. It's hers for the taking. She's only lost to Rybakina, and she's not there this week.
She's defending champion, I think, right?
Andreescu and Sloane Stephens received wild cards. Bianca, she won her opening match. The same cannot be said for Sloane, who lost 6-2, 6-love to Renata Sarasua.
Yeah. Bianca has just won her first WTA level match in 8 months. Her last one was over Barbie Kay in Montreal, and she's been playing a lot on the ITF level. She won 2 tournaments this January, and I'm a big fan of that. And she even said she had to swallow her pride and get over her ego to play at that level. And what it's done is it's given her a lot of confidence because she's played a lot of matches. And she's played a lot of matches without sustaining injuries.
Charleston will match ATP 500 prize money at this tournament. I was a little bit confused by what this meant when this news first came out. They're offering a total purse of $2.5 million. And it's not a case of, say, the men and women are both playing Cincinnati and the men are being paid more than the women. Even though it's both. That's very confusing.
Both and, yeah.
Exactly. At this one, there's no Charleston men's tournament happening at the same time. They're basing it off of what the men get paid at ATP 500 tournaments. And Uncle Ben is saying, well, I'm going to pay that.
Mm-hmm. It's what the 500 level tournaments are required to pay.
Yeah.
Like you said, Credit One Bank is funding this increase. $2.3 million of it will be to tournament prize money, and $200,000 is being directed toward player benefit programs.
I wonder how many debts Ben had to collect to be able to do this.
You know, you just can't say anything nice about Ben. After his daughter had to withdraw from this tournament. The WTA Finals is leaving Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This news was broken by another Ben Rothenberg, yesterday on his newsletter Bounces. They have been in Riyadh. This will be the 3rd year. The contract ends, and apparently the kingdom has decided not to renew.
WTA CEO Portia Archer had talked publicly about her interest in renewing with the Saudis. But they said no mas.
Yeah. We know that Saudi Arabia has a men's Masters 1000 event coming. So I'm wondering, maybe they kind of got what they wanted and didn't feel like re-upping with the WTA.
Ben is reporting that Charlotte, North Carolina is one of the leading candidates to host the Women's Championship Finals, the WTA year-end finals come 2027.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Remember when Ben Navarro threatened the good people of Warren County, Ohio, with leaving Mason for Charlotte, and used that as leverage to bilk over $100 million in taxpayer money to improve the site?
Mm-hmm.
I know the verb bilk was very inflammatory, my choice of words there, but I'm not a big fan of public-private partnerships in sports. I think it sucks, actually. Alas.
Where else is allegedly also in the hunt?
Gdansk, Poland is apparently the only other candidate at this point, and this is according to the Polish reporter Sebastian Parfianowicz.
Well, if you can get a tournament with Iga as the face of it on home soil,
mm-hmm.
The Poles are notoriously very fervent tennis supporters of Iga all around the world.
I mean, the fans will most likely come out in droves if you hold it in Poland. There is the bit of discomfort about Russian and Belarusian athletes entering Poland, so that will be, I'm sure, part of the negotiation if it continues, because currently they wouldn't be allowed.
Mm-hmm. We've seen the finals being held in
Cancun. That was the bad one. Guadalajara was the good one, the one people liked. Fort Worth was another one that people didn't like.
Yeah. Spottily attended.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't have a recommendation as to where would be good, whether Charlotte would be good, whether Poland would be good. I don't know. I know that everybody, including us over the years, have longed for yesteryear when the top woman roamed the courts of Madison Square Garden in New York City, and you had these loud, vociferous fans cheering at every turn.
It was best of 5 matches.
Right, it was
on HBO.
It was a different time.
Jessie Pegula could take the subway to Penn Station. Just hop up the elevator.
She could take the Greyhound from Buffalo.
Sure, yeah.
Into Port Authority.
She is a working class girl.
And then transfer to her Airbnb.
Okay, so many of you may have seen the IOC's announcement about trans athletes and athletes with differences in sex development, or DSD. They announced this new policy this week that would ban all trans women and DSD athletes from competing in the women's category.
Do you know how I learned about this decision?
I do.
From John Wertheim. And I had just woken up and I opened my phone, I'm scrolling, and I see him, and the first thing I see is agree or disagree. I'm like, here we go. This man has not met a fence that he did not want to try and Humpty Dumpty. Takes his chances every single time.
Had a great fall.
Every single time he will take his chances. And so it goes on to say, Coventry, the woman who made this announcement, Coventry's statement, literally word for word, echoes what Martina has been saying for a decade or so, ...
Mm-hmm. I want to close read this tweet. Agree or disagree? So we're already hedging, right? We're already setting up. I know that this policy and Martina's words are controversial. So stay with me. Agree or disagree? Coventry's statement echoes what Martina has been saying for a decade or so. The literally word for word is an intensifier within the M dashes.
It's also meant to validate Martina's words.
But is it? We're still hedging here after all this time. And it is still clear as mud. He's still hedging.
No, I think this is as close to him being on Martina's side as you'll ever see.
As close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because at this point, we've been following Martina's language for a decade now. And it's gotten more and more cruel. It's gotten more and more inflammatory. And for a notoriously sort of straight down the middle kind of guy as Wertheim, I don't know how you can look at what Martina does on her social media and sort of treat it like it's mainstream. And I guess it is mainstream. I guess it is totally normal and acceptable. That's where we are at the moment.
Well, that's what he's saying. When he's saying literally word for word means that what Martina has been saying has brought this about in somewhere or another.
Right, but the agree or disagree is still leaving a tiny bit of room for the policy may not be right, but it's what Martina has been saying.
No, I think he's saying you may not agree or you may disagree. Mm. I think I'm choosing to read this at this point as he's giving his blessing to this.
No, I agree. I believe he is, but I'm objecting to the continuously opaque language being used here again and again. I think at this point it is very clear that it's endorsement, but again, the language is still, it's not committing. And he would probably say, I'm a reporter, it's not my job to commit. Never mind.
It's not your job to commit, but it's also not your job to be flailing out here on social media, giving something so vague and nondescript about a serious issue.
Right.
Like, why are you wading into this? You're wearing too many hats. Are you on Served Podcast giving kiki kaka? Are you out here on Twitter as a 60 Minutes person? Are you a Tennis Channel person right now? What hat are you wearing in talking about this? And what specificity should we not expect from you at this point with this issue? Like, stop being 1 foot in, 1 foot out with something that's so important.
But what has Martina been saying? I mean, we know the legitimate side, right? We know her work with this organization, the Women's Sports Working Group, or Policy Working Group. We also know that on her Twitter, she engages in transvestigation. She retweets photos of people who she believes are men posing as women. She's whipped up this horror story about men wearing dresses and people with penises invading women's sport. Her language is incredibly cruel and nasty.
She's doing this McCarthy-level version of transvestigation and serious transphobia.
Well, yeah.
Online. So those words exist in tandem and as part of the context for whatever literally word for word is being echoed in this statement. You cannot separate the two. And so to try and give validity to her in this setting necessarily means that you're giving validity to all of her other stuff that comes along with it.
It has to be all of it, right?
You can't separate the two.
Well, because she's made them go hand in hand. It's part of who she is and how she's acted publicly.
Because just as the IOC and Coventry are using her words to enact this policy, so too have Republicans used her words to enact policy to oppress trans youth. Well, not just trans women and trans men, trans adults, but trans youth. To make literally the most vulnerable of the alphabet even more vulnerable. That's what her words have done.
Her literal quotes are in legislation on the books in states across the United States. Strange bedfellows, right? For someone who's so anti-Trump and anti-Republican, they march in lockstep on this issue.
And again, an issue that is essentially a straw man or a straw woman.
Well, it's an issue that's complex and claims to rely on science, but the IOC didn't share any of the science that helped inform their policy, which is annoying to me. I know there's a growing body. There's still not very much, and there's not many actual human athlete-centered studies. I have a few actually that I need to read, so I don't want to talk too much about this because I do want to give this subject the weight it deserves.
Right, but my point is we are legislating something for which there isn't a problem. Quantitatively speaking. Why?
The argument, though, it's impervious, right? Like, this form of feminism sets up something to protect. So in order to fight it, you're going to automatically be faced with why are you trying to hurt women? Why are you not listening to women? It's based on we need to protect this thing from these people who are trying to invade it and destroy it. And it's like this classic fallacy. We saw it with anti-obscenity, right? In the 80s and 90s, like conservatives would set up this sort of fictitious, innocent young person, this innocent young girl who is being damaged by this. How can you combat it without saying, I don't give a fuck about that little girl? You know, like, it's such a brilliant way to formulate their argument.
But in fact, I do not give a fuck about that little girl.
What? Well, because she's not real.
She's not real.
Right.
And also, I understand what's happening here.
But also, like, real life is way more complicated than that. Anyway, we will talk a lot more about this. I want to talk about the policy. I want to talk about the criteria for determining somebody's biological sex.
Now?
No, not right now.
Okay.
But we will talk about this more in depth at some point.
Because I added this to the agenda, and then I saw you put a whole other stuff. And I'm like, we were just dunking on John here and Martina.
I know, but it's important. But
no, I understand.
Less important.
Carlos Alcaraz has a message for the youth. He has been bounced from Indian Wells and Miami and wants the children, who are the future, to know that you too can own a yacht. And he's extolling the virtues of yacht ownership and how it will change their lives. He says, quote, "Hopefully I can influence younger people. I hope I can show people how beautiful it is. When they see me as an owner of a yacht, maybe they will think this could be a really good option to relax. Have fun and see how beautiful the sea is." This was one of the dizziest things I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, this is wild.
I feel like that wasn't the main barrier for people in purchasing a yacht. You know, now that I know that the sea is beautiful and yachts are great, I might actually buy a yacht.
We could have been sailing around the seven seas.
But I hadn't been influenced.
We didn't know. Had we known,
you know,
that this was so accessible,
well, he didn't say accessible. He said desirable.
Why would we have been flying? He got some... Was it that he bought a yacht? Or he got some yacht sponsorship?
He's making like a bespoke yacht or something.
He's really doing everything Rafa did, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
I wonder who his first public girlfriend, if one does materialize, what her name will be.
We got a question via DMs. I don't know if we're supposed to identify the person.
Charisse, thank you.
Yeah. She asked, who would we want to go on vacation with among tennis players?
And like Mariah, when asked who would she want or who she thinks is qualified to sing at her wedding, she said, fucking nobody.
And I would say it in a much nicer way, but no, it's nobody. I'm really, really selective of who I would go on vacation with. Right now, it's only family and you. Mm-hmm. Like, when you reach a certain age, you're not taking chances with friends. You could have very close friends and not get along with them on vacation.
I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but working in the restaurant industry for so long, a lot of people work to take vacations. There's a certain restaurant worker that's their MO. That's the way they live their life. Totally fine.
Yeah. So they're going to hustle for the time they're working, save up the money.
I've been invited many times, and I've been very straightforward in saying it's not personal, but I'm not taking that chance. I don't know you like that. Like, meeting up with somebody and having dinner or chatting with somebody, that's totally different. Committing to a week of a foreign country with somebody else that, even if they're like your really good friend, like, people act crazy on vacation. First of all, I don't know if you are broke pocket, if you are cheap, or you're going to be lavish. Like, spending money and how you spend money, that's a huge thing. Agreeing on that.
If you're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and insist we do some excursion and have three meals a day, and like, absolutely not.
Do you know how many times we've been booking hotels and I'm looking at this place and it's like, wow, this is a really nice place. Why does it have a 3.9? Because of the fucking breakfast. These people are out here.
Free continental breakfast.
They're out here ruining businesses' lives because there's no cornflakes. Because the continental breakfast is not up to par.
Like, nobody gives a shit about continental breakfast.
I am not going to be up before 11 a.m. on vacation. I'm just not doing it. I will be up till like 3 a.m.
Also, if you're in Italy, for example, first of all, Italians don't eat breakfast. They might have a little croissant or something. That's it. A lot of these nice hotels make like eggs and bacon and pancakes, like American style breakfast, because they know Americans will bitch and whine if they can't have that. Do as the Romans do, as they say. Why not just go have something nice out? You can go have a little coffee, a pastry, whatever. I'm sure you can find eggs somewhere. If you're in another country, why are you relying on your little 2-star hotel for the breakfast, you know? I
knew these two co-workers who vacationed together many times, and they went on this vacation.
Oh, not loading up these people.
They went on vacation and they got into it. Like, when I tell you, I wouldn't have been going on vacation with either of them separately or together, because I know them kind of mad to begin with, right? You know them as well.
Yes.
And so this was always, in a way, destined to happen.
Yes.
Big kickoff, fight in the middle of the night, bags are packed, one leaves, and that's it. In the middle of a foreign country, never to see each other again, never to speak to each other again.
It was the last fight. I mean, I live for these stories. So keep doing this messy shit on vacation because I find it very entertaining. But no, I would never go on vacation with any tennis player, with any stranger, let alone most of my friends. There are a few friends who we've taken trips with, and it was very enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, but maybe Joao?
Joao who?
Rice. At least it'd be a gay vacation. Huh? Only one of 2 openly gay tennis players in the world.
Oh.
Did I say his name wrong?
I don't know him.
I'm just saying that would be a start.
Okay.
I would need to go somewhere where people are paying my way.
Oh.
And your homeboy's way, and sometimes your cousin's way.
I don't think that was part of the deal.
I'm setting my parameters here.
All right.
Because these tennis vacations, I can't afford to be in the Maldives.
Right.
I'm not going there. So pay for me to be there, I'll go. And I know you want to say, well, if it's somebody, it'd be Grigor. But I'm not hanging around a bunch of supermodels. That doesn't interest me.
No, I'm not hanging out with the people Dimitrov hangs out with. Like,
yeah. So whoever's in the closet and whoever's going to Puerto Vallarta, slide into the DMs. We'll do that.
If you're closeted, you are not going to PV because you will show up in somebody's video or picture. I just don't really like hanging out with rich people. You know?
I mean,
they're not my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why, like, when we do tennis stuff, like, I'm not trying to ingratiate myself. And I know you aren't either.
No.
Like, to make, important friends or whatever.
No.
Yeah.
We'll close this episode with a mailing update. Practically all the postcards and bookmarks are in the mail.
Mm-hmm. Most of them have probably arrived to you. Mm-hmm. There's a few sitting on our table right now.
Just a couple. We've had people reach out to say, hey, just checking in, following up on the postcard situation because I haven't gotten it yet. And then I realize, well, damn, we missed this one. We both have access to the same accounts, but we then rely on each other to whoever sees it first to then make note of it. And sometimes things fall through the cracks. So if you have, since the last GoFundMe cycle, sent us your address and haven't gotten your postcards by next week, reach out to us.
Yeah, because we just missed it. It wasn't purposeful. Also, if you did donate $100 and you have not sent your address, please do so because you're entitled to a postcard and bookmarks. If you've gotten one in the past, that's not a guarantee. We still need to know your address is still the same. So if you haven't gotten one, that's probably why.
Yeah. All right, I think that brings us to the end of episode Toronto.
Yeah, 416. Remember when Drake defined Toronto, running through the 6 with my woes?
May he never have another era. I'm tired of that man. My name is Jonathan. You can find me on Blue Sky at Tennis John.
I'm James at Elliot JMR.
2 L's, 2 T's. Everything Body Serve related can be found at linktree.com/thebodyserve.
Thanks for listening.
Till next time.
Thank you very much.